All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into the digital battlefield. We're going to break down this incredible high-stakes conflict between the attackers and the guardians who are defending our entire online world.
So let's kick things off with a number that really puts this whole fight into perspective. $10 billion. And no, that's not the budget for some crazy space mission. That's the estimated cost of just one cyber attack. I mean, what on earth could cause that kind of damage?
Well, believe it or not, this was the insane cost of an email virus from way back in 2000 called Love Letter. And here's the crazy part. It wasn't some super sophisticated, complex hack. Nope, it spread by exploiting the single most vulnerable part of any system. Us. Human curiosity. It tricked millions of people into opening a simple email. That's a tactic we now call social engineering.
So how in the world do you even begin to fight back against that level of chaos? Well, the answer lies in this field called cybersecurity. It's this ongoing, ever-evolving practice of protecting our networks, our data, and really ourselves from anyone who's out there trying to do harm.
You know, to build a really solid defense, you first have to understand the offense, right? So let's do that. Let's crack open the attacker's playbook and see what their go-to moves really are.
Okay, so one of the most common attacks out there isn't some complex Hollywood-style hack. It's actually a pretty simple, but really deceptive trick called phishing. You've probably seen it. It's basically any attempt to fool you into giving up your passwords or installing some nasty software. And it can show up as a super convincing email, a text message, or even a phone call. And phishing isn't just one thing either. It's got variations. It can be super targeted, which is called spear phishing, where they're aiming for one specific person. If they go after a big fish, like a CEO, that's called whaling. And if the attack comes over the phone, that's vishing, for voice phishing, or a text, that's smishing. So yeah, the methods change, but the goal, it's always the same, to trick you into handing over the keys to the kingdom.
So what's the end game of that phishing email? What are they actually trying to get you to do? A lot of the time, it's to deliver this stuff. Malware. Think of malware as the digital weapon itself. It's just a nasty piece of software designed to cause chaos, steal your data, or even hold your files hostage.
And just like phishing, malware comes in different flavors, each with its own personality. You've got your classic virus, which kind of just sits there, waiting for you to click on something to bring it to life. But then you have a worm, which is way more dangerous, because it can spread all by itself across a whole network. And then there's the really scary one, ransomware. It's like a digital kidnapper that locks up all your files and demands money to get them back.
You know, what's the common thread here? Both phishing and malware, they both lean on this one core concept: social engineering. And this is so important to get. This isn't about hacking computers, it's about hacking people. It's a technique that uses manipulation, exploiting our own psychology to get us to give up private info or access.
And why is it so effective? Because it plays on our natural human instincts. Think about it. An attacker might pretend to be your boss, right? They're using your natural tendency to respect authority. Or they'll create this crazy sense of urgency. You have to do this now. So you act without thinking. They might even build up a friendly relationship with you over weeks just to cash in on that trust later. They are literally manipulating us, not our computers.
Okay, so we've seen the attacker's playbook. It's pretty scary stuff, right? A mix of tech and psychology. So how do the defenders fight back? Well, they don't just sit around and wait. They have their own strategic playbook, a whole system designed from the ground up to protect and defend. And at the core of that entire playbook, really the foundation of the whole field, is something called the CIA triad. And no, not that CIA. This is something completely different. Think of it as the 3 golden rules for all security policies and systems. So the C in CIA stands for confidentiality. It's super simple. It just means keeping secrets secret. That's it. It's the whole principle of making sure that only the right people can see the right information. The I is for integrity. This is all about trust. It's guaranteeing that your data is what it says it is, that it hasn't been messed with. You need to know with total certainty that the file you're looking at is the original, authentic version, not some altered copy. And the A is for availability. This one's also pretty straightforward. It just means the good guys can get to their data whenever they need it. Simple, right? But remember that ransomware we talked about? When that locks you out of your files, that's a direct attack on availability.
Now, to actually apply these big ideas, confidentiality, integrity, availability, across a whole company, security teams don't just wing it. They use what are called security frameworks.
And you can just think of these as a detailed blueprint for building a really strong, comprehensive defense.
So who are the people actually on the front lines, using these blueprints day in and day out? To find out, let's go behind the scenes and step inside the Digital Command Center, the Security Operations Center, or what everyone calls the SOC. Right at the heart of the SOC, you'll find the cybersecurity analysts. These are the digital guardians, and their job is huge. They're responsible for, well, pretty much everything, from managing risks and securing the most important assets to making sure any new software is built to be secure right from the start.
Just try to picture this. A big company's network generates millions of events every single second. Logins, file transfers, web traffic, it's just a constant flood of data. There is no way a human being could possibly sift through all that noise to find a single real threat. It's impossible. And that is where their tools come in. The number one tool in their toolbox is something called a SIEM, spelled S-I-E-M. You can think of it as the central nervous system for the entire network. It pulls in all that log data from everywhere, servers, firewalls, individual laptops, you name it, and then uses some really powerful analytics to automatically flag anything that looks suspicious. That way, the analysts know exactly where to look. And this is where data becomes incredibly powerful. These CM platforms, tools like Splunk or Google Chronicle, are what let analysts find the signal in all that noise. They help turn that massive, overwhelming flood of information into something they can actually act on. It's how they spot the tiny digital footprints an attacker leaves behind and hopefully stop them dead in their tracks. So look, understanding this stuff is pretty important for all of us, right? But for some people listening, learning about this digital battlefield isn't just, interesting trivia. It's actually the very first step on a new career path, a path to becoming one of these guardians. So, how do you become a digital guardian? You might think it's all about coding and technical skills, but honestly, the path doesn't start there. It actually starts with a little bit of self-reflection. You got to ask yourself, what really drives me, and what am I genuinely good at? Crafting your identity in this field really starts from the inside out. It begins with just taking stock of your own unique strengths. Then you define what you truly value. Is it about protecting people, ensuring privacy? And then you figure out what part of this huge field actually gets you excited. That becomes the foundation, your own personal why for this kind of career. But here's the thing. Whether you decide to make this a career or not, every single principle we've talked about today applies to every single one of us. Because that digital battlefield, it's not in some far-off corporate server room. It's right here on our phones, in our email inboxes, and inside our homes. Which really leaves us with one last and pretty crucial question to think about.